And greetings, friends. Thanks for being here. I am Pharmacist Ben, and you have tuned into The Bright Side, your nutritional program dedicated to understanding how the human body works and how it responds to nutritional supplementation. If you have questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, if you want to wean yourself off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, we can help you. 844-236-6010 is our number on The Bright Side, 844-236-6010. If you have questions about the longevity products, longevity business, a health challenge you or a loved one may be dealing with, or if you just have a success story you'd like to share, if you just want to contribute to the conversation, 844-236-6010 is our number. We've got Dr. Stephen Sinatra coming up in our next third segment, I should say. We'll get your calls. Next segment, Dr. Sinatra is the author of several books about the heart and about using nutritional supplementation for the heart. I read The Sinatra Solution probably 15 years ago, and I had already been working with what's called metabolic medicine, and metabolic medicine is the idea that it's the energy level of the cell that accounts for health or accounts for non-health. And by the way, when it comes to metabolic medicine, there's very little that the medical model can do. Metabolic medicine is really about nutrition, and it's around diet, and it's around exercise, and Dr. Sinatra is totally on board with that. Last time Dr. Sinatra was on, we only had him on for a few minutes due to a little bit of a scheduling snafu. Anyway, he was on for about 10 minutes, and he touched on some very interesting ideas about chakras and about the heart and about glands, and I thought that was very fascinating coming from a board-certified cardiologist. We're going to talk to Dr. Sinatra in our third segment about Coenzyme Q10, about carnitine, about ATP, about mitochondrial medicine, about metabolic medicine, and how you can stay healthy, particularly how you can keep your heart healthy using non-medical strategies. Just exactly what we talk about here on The Bright Side every day. Dr. Steven Sinatra in our third segment. We'll get your calls next segment, 844-236-6010. Please check out our longevity products at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. And if you want to sign up to join the Brightside Ben team, click on the Join the Team link or call 866-735-2470, 866-735-2470. And make sure you look at our Truth Treatments at truthtreatments.com. Christmas is coming up. If you haven't tried our Truth Treatments, or if you have a loved one who hasn't tried our Truth Treatments, it makes a perfect Christmas gift. We've got a great little sample kit for $50, I believe, $49 or $50. And you can sample all our Truth Treatments, or our 5 main Truth Treatments, I should say. And then you can check out our 1,000 plus 5-star reviews at truthreview.com. I actually developed Truth Treatments with the idea of the importance of making cells work, of stimulating the actions of cells. And when I was doing that, I was thinking about fats. And we've been talking about this distinction between fats and water for probably a couple months now, and it's a really important distinction. I hope nobody out there thinks I'm just kind of beating a dead horse here, because there's so much to talk about. We haven't even touched coenzyme Q10, we haven't touched carnitine, we haven't touched polyphenols, we haven't touched vitamin E, we haven't touched the phospholipids and lecithin. And by the way, lecithin granules, which I talk about all the time as being important for helping the body process fats. Well, most of the lecithin in the body is in the cell membrane, and lecithin-like compounds. That's what gives the cell membrane its very interesting characteristics. And without understanding this distinction between fats and water, which it may seem like I'm really going overboard on, I don't think I am, because without understanding this distinction, we can't leverage nutrition as effectively as if we do understand it. And that's really what it's all about, is not just following what somebody told you on TV or what I say even, or what anybody says. Not just doing something because you're told to do it. That's really the key to everything. Is if you want to have a great life, you don't just do things because you're told to do them. You want to understand what's going on, especially when it comes to nutrition. The reason why people don't get benefits from nutritional supplementation is because they're just, most people, present company excluded, is they're just doing what somebody told them. So they just kind of throw everything against the wall based on what they were told on the commercials and on talk shows and by doctors and by healthcare professionals and nutritionists. And it's endless, the amount of opinions people have. Opinions are like, you know what, noses. Everybody's got one. So you want to understand what's happening so you can make an informed decision. That's what critical thinking is all about. And that's why I'm really hitting the fats really hard here. Viruses, by the way, are particularly relevant for fats in the sense that viruses have to interact with the outside part of a cell, the cell membrane, in order to do their business. Viruses have to literally fuse with the cell membrane so that they can enter into the cell. Electromagnetic frequencies, by the way, you haven't heard about this lately because it's all been censored, but there's certain electromagnetic frequencies that are being pumped out into the air in very at short ranges, we'll say. And these electromagnetic frequencies can't help but have an effect on the membrane, on the cell membrane. Let me say that again. EMFs cannot help but have an effect on the cell membrane because the cell membrane is highly bioelectrical and highly responsive to electrical energies. Oh, and by the way, understanding how to take advantage of fat supplements, especially essential fatty acids, can help protect the cell membrane. Omega-3s, especially. Omega-3 fatty acids are one of the most important nutrients you could ever take if you're worried about EMFs. And if you're worried about the latest EMFs that have been linked to infections, and we'll just leave it at that. So taking care to protect your cell membranes. This is one of the reasons why fried fats and processed fats and trans fats are so dangerous. I don't remember who I was talking to. I think I might have been on this program, or I was talking to somebody recently. I was doing a Zoom presentation. Because I kind of have this insulated bubble of people that I hang out with and talk to, aside from when I'm doing presentations on the radio. I sometimes forget how ignorant the mass consciousness is about nutrition. So I was doing a presentation and I was shocked. This lady told me her doctor said, don't eat butter, just eat soft spread. And I forgot what the name of the soft spread was, the latest one that's supposed to lower cholesterol. Her doctor told her this, and that's what she's doing. Why? Because the doctor thinks that the fats from butter are problematic for the heart, because the doctor is following or listening to the propaganda, the noise that's coming out of the standard medical model that's promoting the sale of these artificial synthetic foods. And she believed it, and she still believes it. One of the worst things you could ever eat for your cell membranes is artificial fake fat, period. And artificial fake food, by the way, like prescription drugs, are never good for you. And by the way, there's sometimes you need prescription drugs. I do understand that. But they're not good for you in the sense that they're like nourishing. And same goes with artificial processed foods, especially artificial processed fats, which are super problematic for the cell membrane. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll be back with more on the bright side right after this. We are back on the bright side. 844-236-6010 is our number. Dr. Stephen Sinatra coming up at the bottom of the hour. One of the founders, maybe the originator of metabolic cardiology, the idea that it's about the energy of the heart. We look at these organs, the heart, the kidney, the liver, etc., the skin. We see organ. We see the entire macroscopic units. But as it turns out, there are microscopic units that are really where everything begins, the nexus of disease. That is the cell. And a cell is only going to be as healthy as it is able to produce energy. Metabolic medicine is the idea. Metabolic cardiology is the idea. It's about the energy. All diseases are about energy. That's what mitochondrial medicine is about. You're going to hear it's been going on now, getting out there in the public domain for the last 10 years or so, 10, 12 years, mitochondrial medicine. The mitochondria are that's where the energy is produced. They're said to be the energy furnaces of the cell, and cells have multiple mitochondria. Some cells have hundreds, probably even thousands of mitochondria in certain cells. The heart is especially dependent on energy, and by the way, the heart is especially dependent on fat. It uses large amounts of fats as energy-providing molecules. More than 70% of all the energy-providing molecules that used by cardiocytes are based in fatty acids. There's glucose and there's ketones, etc. But it's most of the energy that's used by the heart cells is fatty acids. I'm telling you, folks, fats. And it's not just the fats that are used for energy, it's the fats that protect. The fats that are found in plants, we call them collectively phytonutrients are said to be adaptogenic, largely. Adaptogenic means they help the cells adapt to stress, largely because they interact at the outside part of the cell, at the membrane level. There's a very important communication relationship between plant molecules and the cell membrane, the outside part of the cell. The fatty part of the cell, and depending on how fatty a phytonutrient is, it's going to play a role in how impactful that will be. Polyphenols are especially fatty. You've heard that term, I'm sure. Polyphenols, carotenoids, and flavonoids, these that are found throughout nature, throughout the plant kingdom, are super important for helping cells adapt to or deal with stress, especially immune cells. Astragalus, for example. I love astragalus. I use astragalus in my blemish repair complex and in our collagen recovery complex. By the way, all our skin health products and supplements are available at truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com. I like astragalus not just because it's important for adaptogenic reasons, but because of its interaction with a cell membrane. Astragalus is a penetrating aid. It helps nutrients get into cells, especially when it's combined with ginseng, which also has that effect. Astragalus and ginseng are both permeation enhancers. They allow nutrients to get into a cell and also across the intestinal barrier into the blood. If you look on our blemish repair complex and our collagen recovery complex, available at truthtreatments.com, you'll find an ingredient called estrogen. Astra-gin. Astra for astragalus, gin for ginseng. It's a combination of astragalus and ginseng. And you get wonderful permeation benefits, cellular permeation benefits, and benefits for getting your nutrients across the intestine into the blood as well. Astragalus is also important for the immune system. Astragalus is crazy bioactive. I say bioactive meaning it has a lot of bioactivity, but all of the probably 100 or so chemical compounds, can you imagine this, that we know about, probably more, chemical compounds, nutritional and bioactive molecules that are in astragalus are incredibly valuable, especially for the immune system. You've got polysaccharides, you've got flavonoids, you've got amino acids, you've got trace elements, you've got all kinds of bioactive materials, adaptogens, as well as nutrients in astragalus. But it's not just astragalus, it's pretty much all plants. This is where herbal medicine becomes so amazing. How cool is it that we have this amazing medicine just growing out of the ground? We call them weeds. They grow between the cracks in sidewalks. The stuff that grows between cracks in sidewalks will help you with your menopause, or help you with your fight viruses, or help you with your respiratory function, or help you with fertility. Can you imagine this? The stuff that grows between the cracks of sidewalks, or that we use weed killer to get rid of, is the best medicine on the planet. In fact, prescription drugs are a lot of them are high potency versions of molecules that are found in herbs and botanicals and plants. All right, 844-236-6010 is our number. Rick in Michigan wants to talk to us. Let us welcome Rick to the bright side. What's up, Rick?
Oh, hey, Pharmacist Ben, long-time listener, and I called in last time you had Dr. Sinatra on. When he
I remember you.
So, yeah,
good deal.
So your screener mentioned that you normally don't take calls with the doctor, so I'd like to ask a question to you that maybe you can pass on to him.
Okay.
Because I have his book, Reverse Heart Disease Now, was written in 2007. But boy, was that book ahead of its time. It's just groundbreaking, in my opinion.
Are you a health professional or a scientist at all?
No. I'm just a layman individual. I'm in the finance business. What I do is I pay very close attention to health. I'm a long-time listener of yours and some of the other key guys, and I've really stayed on top of it. 61 years old now, health problems, zero med.
Good for you. Good for you. That's awesome.
That's the way to go, in my opinion.
So what would you like me to ask Dr. Sinatra?
He mentioned, besides the anti-inflammation, which you're really big on, anti-inflammation type diet, he was big on supplements that are ATP energy boosters.
Correct.
And so due to his book, what I've done ever since that is I take Q10,
okay,
L-carnitine, L-ribose, and magnesium.
Okay.
in combination. Of course, all those are important. Magnesium in particular, CoQ10 really big. But in combination, he says that's really an important ATP booster. What I'm wondering is, since he wrote that book in 2007, has he taken it further with various...
Got it. Yeah.
And one in particular is nanokinase, what he feels about that.
Okay, I like that too. Yeah, he doesn't mention vitamin C. He doesn't mention veggie potassium and electrolytes. He doesn't mention omega fats. I mean, there's a lot of things he doesn't mention, and I'm going to ask him about that. And then natokinase, that's a good one too. I like natokinase. Are you using it?
So do I. His opinion is, because I have a feeling those can be, I take it just for preventative. I understand they can be little Pac-Man type.
Yeah, that's right. They're little Pac-Men. That's right. And it's in the nightly essence too, by the way, natokinase.
Oh,
I don't know if you knew that. Yeah. It is interesting. It's one of the reasons why I like the nightly essence so much, is because it's very creatively formulated with enzymes, including natokinase.
Oh.
Isn't that interesting?
So anyway, he's just a great guest. I can't wait to hear.
I'm looking forward to speaking to him. Thanks so much for your call. Appreciate it, Rick. And thanks for being a long-time listener. I love my smart listeners. Appreciate it. All right, buddy. Be good. Okay, thanks, Rick. All right, yes, Stephen Sinatra will be coming up in our next segment. We'll talk metabolic cardiology and metabolic medicine. And also, Dr. Sinatra apparently knows a little bit about spirituality and health. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Dr. Stephen Sinatra coming up next on The Bright Side. We'll be back right after this. We are back on The Bright Side. Thanks for being here. I am Pharmacist Ben. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 11 Central Time, and 24/7 on the archive page at brightsideben.com. With the search engine, if you miss a program or you want to review a program, we've got a search engine and all the programs all archived at brightsideben.com. Also, benfuchsarchives.com. Thank you to Peter in the UK for setting that up. Longevity products can be purchased at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. And please take a look at our True Skin Health products, all formulated in my compounding pharmacy for wound healing on a prescription basis. I repurpose my wound healing formulations as beauty products, and man, are they powerful and do they work. Check out our over 1,000 4- and 5-star reviews at truthreviewed.com, truthreviewed.com. Okay, I am so looking forward to speaking to our guest, a nutritional hero of mine. I started reading his books 15 years ago, The Sinatra Solution. He was one of the early guys to really, in a public way, talk about what's called mitochondrial medicine. I mean, people have known about it forever, or at least since biochemistry began, but really became popularized and mainstreamed by guys like Steven Sinatra. In fact, I think Steven Sinatra may have been the first guy to talk about it in terms of cardiology. I got so much I want to talk to him about. Please welcome to The Bright Side, Dr. Steven Sinatra. Hey, Doc.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thanks for that nice introduction.
Oh man, I am not kidding. I quote you. I quote you all the time. And when I found that you'd be available to speak to, I got very, very excited, and my listeners did as well. So thank you so much for joining us. What was it that was the first aha experience for you to understand the importance of the production of energy and the relevance of the production of energy when it comes to health and disease or disease, both?
Well, actually, it was, as a cardiologist, I was treating congestive heart failure on a day-to-day basis. And even in medical school, the professors said that heart failure had a prognosis worse than cancer, and that really affected me, I have to tell you, because that was disturbing to hear that. So, when I went through all my training, internship, residency, fellowship, I was looking at ways to improve heart failure, and then I stumbled upon the CoQ10 researchers. That was amazing. I was talking to them, I was lecturing with them, and then when I realized that CoQ10 and then ribose and magnesium and carnitine was like the perfect solution for metabolic cardiology, because it drives energy in a preferential direction, and the heart is all about energy.
Yeah.
So that's how I really connected the dots that the heart is an energy. And the incredible thing is, if you look at the size of your fist, that's about the size of your heart, right?
That's incredible.
And about a third of that size of your fist are mitochondria, which generate energy.
Wow.
So the heart's all about energy.
A third of the heart is mitochondrial?
Yes, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
And maybe 1% of your biceps muscle is mitochondrial. So
that is
most of the mitochondria in the body are in the heart, followed by the kidney and liver.
And so when you treat people mitochondrially or for cardiology, you treat them metabolically, they get muscle benefits, they get kidney benefits, they get brain health benefits, everything benefits,
yes,
right?
Everything, because everything is about energy. In fact, my next book is High Vibrational Living, which is really taking energy to the 10th degree. Once you improve energy relationships, and that's how I got into grounding and earthing and everything else. It's all energetic.
Yeah.
All energetic.
Yeah, I love the idea of earthing, that the earth is streaming this energy just for us to absorb whenever we like.
Exactly, and it's free.
It's free. It's free. On top of everything else, it's free. Yeah, I love it. Remember they used to have this thing called an energy crisis? I used to laugh when I heard that. Energy crisis. Like there's a shortage of energy in the universe. So what strikes me as interesting about the nutrients that you pick, CoQ10, carnitine, ribose, and magnesium, is there's others as well. And I'm curious, why didn't you mention vitamin C, or why didn't you mention essential fatty acids perhaps, or phospholipids? What was it about those four that made you want to focus on them?
Well, everything you mentioned is good. I mean, look, if I was stranded on a desert island, I would want CoQ10 and omega-3s to be washed ashore. But I mean, definitely. But when it comes to energy, when it comes to ATP generation, those four nutrients are key. Not saying that the others aren't, but if I had to choose four for energy production, that's it.
What about ubiquinone versus ubiquinol for coenzyme Q10?
Honestly, that's a farce. I mean, reduced ubiquinone reduced ubiquinol and oxidized ubiquinol, they go back and forth.
They go back and forth, right?
They go back and forth. So if you have a high-quality ubiquinone, it's as good as any ubiquinol. And I studied that, by the way, in a double-blind trial, and it was amazing. Even people who, like long-distance runners or weightlifters, some of them prefer ubiquinone over ubiquinol. It's amazing.
Interesting, but the idea that they go back and forth is really fundamental to everything you're talking about, because it's this back and forth nature or redox that is really responsible for all of life. We talk a little bit about oxidation and reduction and some of the myths around oxidation and antioxidation.
Right. I mean, oxidation and reduction are important, but let me tell you this. When it comes to ubiquinol, which is basically reduced, right? If you have, let's say, a child who has an inborn error of metabolism, like a congenital problem where they have a problem with, mitochondrial transfer, I think ubiquinol may have an advantage over ubiquinone only in that situation. But when it comes to treating 99.9% of people in the country, I think one is as good as the other.
Okay, so, coenzyme Q10, carnitine, and magnesium, they're kind of mainstream. They're sort of everybody knows about them. Maybe not less with carnitine, but a lot of people know about them. But then ribose comes into it. You're the only guy I know that's talking about ribose. Tell us a little bit about why that's important and why you think it's so significant that it's one of the big four.
Yeah, that's a great question. I have to tell you, I was at a Las Vegas conference back in 2005, and I'm sitting in the audience, right? And Dr. Jim Roberts is lecturing, and I'll never forget it. He was talking about D-ribose. Have you ever heard of Jim Roberts? Have you ever had him on your program?
Oh, just in your book. I haven't. I'd love to have him on my program, but you mentioned in your book.
He is a gifted cardiologist. Now you got to realize, I was using, the other three for a decade, and I had failures in treating heart failure, and I couldn't figure it out. In other words, as a doctor, successes are great, but one failure keeps you up all night. Believe me. You know what I mean? It's that one failure that gets to you. I
100% know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing about the brain is we always see we point out the failures and the successes sort of blend in.
Exactly. So when Jim was talking about D-ribose, I had this incredible aha. I said, oh, my God, that's the missing link. Wow. I'll never forget it. I was buzzing with joy in the audience. It was 15 years ago. And then that's when I called up Jim, and I said, Jim, would you write a book with me on metabolic cardiology, or at least write the introduction? And he said, I'll be happy to write the introduction. So that's how it all started,
So tell us about it. Ribose is a sugar. It's a special sugar. It's a genetic. There's certain things that it's involved with genetics, as in RNA. Tell us a little bit about ribose. Most people haven't heard of it even.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, ribose is a sugar, but remember, you don't require insulin to to metabolize it. Well,
it goes right into the blood. It goes right into cells.
It gets into the blood, and it can raise the blood sugar. So, with a diabetic, for example, a brittle diabetic, you may have to use a slight degree of caution. But you can mix ribose in any beverage, water, orange juice.
It's not very sweet.
It's not very sweet. But for some people who like to use sugar in their coffee, who have a history of heart disease, I would always tell them that ribose has a trifle of sweetness, and it's 10 times better than sugar. I mean, sugar's a disaster.
Oh, yeah.
It causes inflammation,
Yeah.
But again, ribose builds ATP. That's the key.
Okay, so I want to talk about that, a little bit more about ribose, and then I want to get into a little bit of the spirituality kinds of things that you touched on the last time you were on the program. We got Stephen Sinatra on the bright side, the book, The Sinatra Solution. We'll be back with Dr. Sinatra right after this. We're back on the bright side. We're talking to Dr. Stephen Sinatra. His website is heartmdinstitute.com. He's got lots of great recipes, news, and blog posts, and all kinds of good stuff at heartmdinstitute.com. And his book is The Sinatra Solution and also Metabolic Cardiology. Doc, before we went to break, you were talking about ribose. So, first of all, is ribose deficiency really a thing? And can you literally up your ATP by taking ribose? We should tell the listeners also, by the way, ATP equals energy, basically. It's like an energy battery, and making ATP is what it's all about. So is ribose deficiency really an issue, and can ribose directly up ATP levels just by taking it?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, ribose is made in the body naturally. Remember in high school, we all studied the hexose monophosphate shunt,
right.
So it's made in the body, but it's made for the sole purpose of being the central molecule of adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. So the body makes it. The problem with heart failure is that the body can't make it back fast enough. In other words, there's overutilization of the ATP in heart failure, so the heart's always struggling. Now, if you give ribose like a substance, like CoQ10 or magnesium, in other words, like any vitamin, for example, now you give it to the body, now you can make up the deficit. And that's the key in heart failure. Once you make up the deficit, the patient improves significantly. It's been absolutely amazing.
So would you say it's conditionally essential? Like you can have less of it than you need to operate optimally, or you can make less of it than you need?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the classic example is the marathon runners. When marathon runners are running and they develop cramps, a lot of it is, ATP deficit. So now marathon runners have gotten smarter over the years, and they have, like, drinks, scheduled out along the run, and they'll pass somebody that they know, and they'll hand them a bottle, and they'll swallow a few ounces of ribose-containing, water. It's that simple.
And it works that fast? It works instantly?
Fast. Oh, yeah. Ribose works very, very fast. And I know many cardiologists who are marathon runners who take ribose because they just know about it. And it even improves people's times, believe it or not.
So I was at a show in Vegas, a nutrition show, and I ran into the ribose people. And I was talking to them, and this was maybe 10 years ago, maybe. And they sent me like 2 pounds of the stuff. And I still have it in my lab. I got 2 pounds of ribose sitting there, and I haven't really dipped into it. What's the best way to use it? Just to scoop it out and put it in water? Like a teaspoon or something?
Yeah, like a little teaspoon. You can put it in 8 ounces of water, or like I said before, some people want to use a sweetener for coffee or tea, and they can use ribose.
That's very interesting.
It's that simple. And again, when there's, there can be deficits with diastolic dysfunction from long-standing hypertension, for example. People don't realize it. They get a little fatigue. They don't understand why they're tired or short of breath. A lot of it is a deficiency of ATP. It's that simple.
And drinking ribose, like, you'll notice it in minutes. You'll notice an energy boost, not like caffeine, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, people don't get the buzz like caffeine, but a lot of people, especially those with heart failure, have told me, Doc, I got the bounce back in my step. I can't believe it. I don't know what's going on, but I have energy. Those are the exact words.
If it comes in capsules, what would be a good dose for somebody to take?
Oh, capsules is tough because the minimum dose of ribose that actually works is 2.5 grams. That's a half a teaspoon.
Half a teaspoon.
So it's hard to put that in capsules,
Okay, so just get ribose powder, half a teaspoon in water, once or twice a day.
Yeah, or a teaspoon once or twice a day. Yeah, if you're an athlete, for sure. Anybody with heart failure, for sure. If you have long-standing hypertension with shortness of breath, I would use it, definitely. Even mitral valve prolapse, when people have shortness of breath, it's diastolic dysfunction, Ribose really helps.
Okay, so you talk a lot about nutrition, obviously, and about chemistry, but you also touched on, last time you were on the program, some really interesting stuff about the heart chakra as it relates to the heart. And we tend to focus on things materially, but there's other ways of looking at the body and parts of the body. Tell us a little bit about how heart-centered energy can affect cardiology, for better or worse. Heart energy, we'll say.
Well, the heart is in the fourth chakra. And when I was studying Gestalt and bioenergetic psychotherapy and cardiology at the same time, I learned something very, very important. And I stumbled upon it by accident in my own research. I realized that men who don't cry, for example, tend to get heart disease. I mean, that's amazing, And now women in the workplace are getting more heart attacks and more sudden deaths than men. And my reasoning is that women have shut off their feelings, their intuition, their softness, because they have to act more like men. And, men get heart disease. It's almost like a red badge of courage, They stuff their emotions or they deny their feelings, They push beyond their expectations. They have aggressive type A behaviors, things like that. But I think the heart chakra is very sensitive to emotional situations. And I think overwhelming sadness, overwhelming depression, panic, anger, all those emotions have an adverse effect on the heart. And one of the best ways of relieving that stuffed emotion is with sadness. And crying, I think, will release the heartbreak that we all have that leads to heart disease. And whenever you do cry, you facilitate the energy of the fourth chakra.
What does it say about our culture that the number one killer is heart disease, and then if you add in lung cancer, which is along the same lines, kind of in the same area, what does it say about our culture that our main way of dying involves love and those emotions?
Well, you hit upon it. I mean, I think unconditional love is the most important thing we can consider going forward in preventing any disease in the chest. I mean, when I met Tommy Rosa and I wrote the book with him, Health Revelations from Heaven, when he returned back and forth from heaven, I mean, he heard it right in heaven, that the essence of unconditional love was the essence of life. And the problem is we don't have that. I mean, look at politics today. Look at what's happening today. I mean, all the demonstrations, this and that. I mean, what's unconditional love? It's been thrown off the table. I mean, unconditional love.
Where is unconditional love? Yeah. Where's the unconditional love?
There's no unconditional love, and that's the problem. We have to get back to basics. Getting back to basics is really the whole essence of regaining our health.
That's what the presidential campaign should be talking about. Let's get back to some unconditional love. And everything's about fear, and it's about protection. And it shows up in our health. We're shriveling up.
Exactly. And look at this pandemic when everybody has a lot of fear and suicides are going up and this and that. Did you know that people are getting pets now, and pets right now are lifesavers?
Yeah. Vegas, parasympathetic.
Exactly. And what will a pet do? They'll love you unconditionally.
That's
and
beautiful.
if you take that love in unconditionally through your eyes or through the fourth chakra of your heart, through the energy of your heart, oh my gosh! Well, I'm getting a chill on that, Ben. I mean, that's healing in itself. That is healing energy from the pet.
When we see something vulnerable, it activates our love center. It's when we're scared, when we don't feel like the other person or the other is vulnerable, that's when the reptilian brain kicks in and the sympathetic stuff goes on. If you see a pet who's vulnerable, or a baby who's vulnerable, or a handicapped person, it kind of sparks something, doesn't it?
It does. And if you reach out to that person, like a handicapped person, for example, or I mean, I'll give you one which was rewarding for me and not. I mean, I really get concerned when I see a little baby being covered on the mother's chest in a little papoose, and she's on a cell phone at the same time. I mean, that really bothers me, and I've walked up to women in airports and I said, did you know? And one woman out of 10 will say, mind your own business, but the other 9 say, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, that's great. I mean?
Because the baby is so vulnerable. To electromagnetic forces, to toxins, to anything.
Yeah.
We have to be careful.
in the 60s and 70s, people used to smoke in the car with their babies, even later.
Exactly. Now it's EMF. You're absolutely right.
The windows rolled up. Hey, I got so much more I want to talk about. We're out of time, Doc, but I had a listener ask, and I want to ask you for him. He said, ask Dr. Sinatra about nattokinase. So real quick, what's your take on it?
I love it. I absolutely love it. Look, hypercoagulable blood, red ketchup blood is a sine qua non of the 21st century, meaning that we all have red ketchup blood. Why?
Thick blood, dirty blood, I call it. Dirty blood.
Sludgy blood. Why?
Yeah.
Because we're insecticides, pesticides, heavy metals, mercury, cadmium, cigarette smoke, GMO foods. The list goes on and on, and it thickens our blood. So what we need right now is red wine blood. And the way to get that type of blood is with nattokinase, lumbrokinase, all those nice thinners that have a great impact on, and grounding. Grounding thins the blood as well.
Electrons, absolutely.
Electrons. In other words, CoQ10 and grounding are both electron donors. So whenever you thin the blood, you're really invigorating your own health. Not just the heart, but the whole body.
Yeah. We say on this program, all disease is cell disease, and all cell disease is preceded by dirty blood. And that's, you're the king of that. That's where I developed these ideas. Thanks so much, Dr. Sinatra. That was really, really informative. I love having you on. Hopefully you'll come back on. Appreciate it.
Anytime. I love the interview. Great questions.
Thank you.
God
Take
bless.
care, buddy. Have a wonderful day. Bye, Dr. Sinatra. All right, that's Dr. Stephen Sinatra. His book is The Sinatra Solution. And actually had a couple more questions I wanted to ask him that I totally forgot. But anyway, his book is The Sinatra Solution, and his website is heartmdinstitute.com. Thanks so much for listening to The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Have a wonderful, beautiful, awesome, spectacular day. We'll talk to you later. Bye for now.